Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Victor, and welcome to my YouTube channel, which is all about helping people navigate their ascension process. And today's video is my Friday question and answer video, where I answer all of my subscribers' questions that I get throughout the week. I always leave the questions in the description box below. You can go ahead and check them out. And if you yourself have any questions that you want me to answer next week, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Somebody asked me, why do so many quote-unquote normal people seem to be unaffected by these new incoming energies, and like the more like high-level souls, the people who are awakening, seem to be really rustled up by it, and on the surface appear to be doing much worse than the normal people? That's a good question, and I can only really tell you my own opinion and sensing on, again, what we're going through a cosmic occurrence that has never happened before, apparently, and no one person knows exactly what it is or how it's going down. That's why there's a bit of a mystery to it. So I can kind of tell you what I sense and perceive, but don't take everything I say in this regard as like gospel, or anybody else for that matter. I don't see everyone going through what you're going through, meaning like the crazy life situations, the emotional upheaval, all the symptoms of your awakening drawing you incredibly unbalanced, because they have not been triggered into their awakening. What I see is that however it's happening, whether we're moving into a new energy of space or there's actually external energy kind of coming up, or the earth itself is raising its vibration, the energy in which we kind of live in, whether we can see it or not, is changing. It's becoming more fine and refined and faster. And I see it, we're all at our own different levels, and some people, as this energy continues to increase more and more and more, people are being triggered into their awakening. More and more people are finding themselves in the awakening process. And the people you see who seemingly are unaffected, they have not been triggered yet. Or they're taking the kind of opposite approach that you are. There's a lot of people who are open to it and will become initiated into the awakening process as these energies increase more and more. And there's other people who, not consciously, but they're in a sense choosing to resist the energies, to resist the awakening of their consciousness by dumbing it down. Because we have the choice to make ourselves very unconscious, like exhibiting behaviors of addiction, just really neglecting our body, our health, our well-being, choosing to dwell in mental patterns of negativity and fear and whatnot. That will kind of keep you in your own little fear bubble, impervious to these awesome energies that are seeking to kind of crack that shell and awaken you. So some people's shells have not been cracked yet. Someone asked me, how do I contact my guardian angel? That's a new one. Now, there's a few different ways you can look at this question. One of them, I would ask you, why do you feel it's important for you to do that? Do you just want to for the sake of it? Because a lot of times it doesn't work that way. I think it might be neat to, right in this moment, close my eyes and astrally project and go visit my home planet in the 5th or 6th dimension. But that's not really relevant to me and my life I chose. That's more of my mind just kind of like, oh, that'd be cool. So you have to ask yourself if that's the case. And I don't claim to know like the explicit details of like your entourage of a soul and spirit assistants that are kind of watching over you. Some people have like deceased loved ones that look over them. We all, I think, have spirit guides, friends from the other side that say, hey, okay, you go into this crazy earth realm, I'll keep a lookout for you. I'll kind of make sure you're on your path. We have those. Do we have like actually appointed guardian angel? I honestly don't know. But I suspect what you're asking is, how do I contact my guides, my crew? And here's the thing. They don't really want to have to interact. They want you to be your own master, not ask them for every little thing. So I would just ask you to question your motives for wanting to contact them. Is it just for the sheer novelty of it? Or do you actually have something you need to know? And if you do have something you actually need to know, you will get that information. But don't limit it to it having to come from your guardian angel. Let it come in whatever way. Perhaps there's an easier way for you to obtain this information or this sense of guidance. Someone asks, when do we get to finally have our cake and reap the rewards and the fruits of our laborious ascension process? Now, I sympathize with you, and because I held on to that like desire and like mind state for so long. Like when? This is bullshit. I've gone through this too long. Where is it? When does it end? All I'm going to say is I dropped that question. That question will drive you crazy. Who knows? I can't answer that. I can tell you that, quite honestly. I have no idea. All I can say is for me, I finally came into a state of my own empowerment. I stopped waiting for the prize to come. I don't believe there is going to be a prize that just comes into your lap. You have to go and get that prize. You've been getting the guidance. You've been getting the glimpses of your potential future life, and you have to go and make that happen. Don't just sit there and think you're biding your time waiting for this just to magically appear. It's not going to magically appear, at least in my experience. So go after what you want. Go after your prize. Don't ask when. When imposes that there's someone else waiting to hand it to you. When, ask yourself, when do I really believe I can obtain this? What do I want? What am I going to do to go and get that? And then you can answer that question yourself. You can give yourself a fair estimate. How long do I suspect it'll take for me to go from A to B? Someone is concerned that their belief system, their religion, will conflict with the ascension process. And all I have to say quite bluntly is that does not surprise me in the least, because religions are fairly rigid. They don't really leave a lot of room for anything other than what they're saying is the truth. And your ascension is trying to lift you out of that, lifting you out of the whole desire to have a belief system that makes you feel secure. The whole premise of the ascension is showing you the illusion of the security you think you actually have by choosing to identify with a particular set of beliefs of any kind, regardless of religion or anything. Beliefs are limiting. They're limiting the potential of your soul, and the awakening is aiming to get you to realize the true, full potential of your soul. So why cling to something? Out of guilt? Because your parents told you, you got to believe this or you're going to piss off God? I'm not saying one can't incorporate religion into their life even while they're embodying higher states of consciousness, but you'll just view it a lot different. You'll start to see, you'll be able to easily pick out the true seeds of wisdom and kind of understand what they were trying to say. Because what is a religious text? It's people communicating their own sensing of what's coming into them. And anything is limited to the human being, the vessel, okay? So a lot of it is distorted. A lot of it is kind of fear-based. Because a lot of these texts were written thousands of years ago by people vastly less intelligent and less aware of how things actually are of the world. So they did their best to describe what was coming through, which I do believe was like divine information, but you got to kind of read between the lines a little bit. That's my own opinion. You might not like it if you guys happen to be very into your religious dogma, but I suspect most of you who are watching this channel are not. Someone said they have searched far and wide all across the internet, looking at different channelers, just different like blogs and like different sources of information, sort of similar to what I'm doing here. And they want to know how it's going to go down. Apparently, we're getting ready to literally separate into two worlds, you could say. There's a fourth density Earth and then this kind of current Earth, this third density Earth. And there's going to be an actual separation where some people actually have raised their consciousness and their frequency sufficiently to go with the new Earth. And unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be kind of left behind, and there will be a discernible separation. So how will it actually be experienced? I can say that I don't believe anybody knows. I think that's part of the surprise, part of like the whole reason we're coming here, to experience this separation, this shift. So I believe like the higher dimensional extraterrestrial beings that are kind of working with certain human beings right now, no, they have a pretty good idea. But they're apparently choosing not to tell us I'm guessing for a very good reason. A lot of times we think we need to know something, but in fact it's not important, and it might even hinder our experience of it, maybe the surprise of it. Maybe there'll be such a blissful feeling of stepping into this new Earth and realizing it, that by having the information beforehand might kind of diminish that experience for us. I don't know. I can give you what I sense is going to happen. I sense it's just going to things are just going to continue as they are, maybe getting faster and more noticeable, and eventually you'll just wake up one day and realize that, hey, all these people that were once in my life, for whatever reason, randomly have just sort of kind of fizzled out and dropped out and faded into the peripheral of my life, and now they're just gone. You don't think of them. You don't. There was no discernible watching someone vanish. it's just sort of like, you probably already feel it now. People are dropping out of your life. Situations, you know, where you were in your world, maybe the school you went to, the job you had, relationships you had, the house you lived in, the state you lived in, all these things are kind of changing. We're being kind of rearranged. And eventually I think you'll just find yourself one day so rearranged that you just don't even think about it. Again, I think people are just going to kind of fall away. That's my opinion. That's what I believe the separation will be. I believe your life will eventually, as you clear up your energetic aura, will be composed of only things that are germane to your highest potential, your highest vibrational potential will be in fact reflected into your reality. There won't be so much sorting out. Right now it's a mixed bag. Some good things that you gotta deal with, and then other things that you've integrated that are now blossoming. Eventually it won't be so much integration. It'll be more you just existing with the rewards of having cleared out your vibrational frequency and raising it to the fullest. So I have a friend. This is a question. Somebody said, I have a friend, and I can certainly tell this person has awakened. They are very high conscious individual, and yet I see them where they exhibit certain behaviors of like selfishness and a little bit of narcissism, and they're just kind of like, you're seeing these egoic flare-ups in this person. So are they really not awakened? Can one be halfway awakened, they asked? Here's kind of the interesting thing here. A lot of times when two people who are on their path of awakening intersect, they bring out the worst in each other in a good way. They will, because they themselves, like say I'm a real high conscious dude and I meet another high conscious person. It's kind of like two alpha males butting heads. You know, around normal people, I'm the man. Around normal people, this dude's the man. But when we get together, we're like, oh, we don't normally run into people like this guy who kind of challenges me, who kind of makes me more aware of I'm not quite the man because here's this guy who's shining a little bit more brightly. So again, you guys will sometimes often trigger each other's ego aspects. So you're going to see those, you're going to kind of experience those aspects as you trigger them in one another. It doesn't mean they're not a spiritual person or they're not awakening. It could be a million different things. But essentially, that's what I would suspect is happening with you. When I met my wife, Patty, we are like soulmates, and we're both on this awakening journey together. And yet, if you were to see some of our blowouts, some of the worst parts of ourselves kind of coming to the surface and going at it, you would say, wow, I'm not watching this guy's freaking YouTube videos. He's nuts. We attract situations, people, circumstances into our life that help trigger those negative states of being, of selfishness and whatnot. And just because you see a glimpse of it, a flaring of it, an aspect of this human being, doesn't mean you should judge them as a selfish person. You're seeing a selfish aspect of his vast consciousness. You just happen to be experiencing it. Someone wrote to me and they said that they're able to now perceive like demonic aspects of other human beings. Almost like a lot of people are kind of walking around possessed by like a demonic energy or an entity, and he's able to actually perceive this, the demonic aspect of the people kind of notice him, and he feels like, oh shit, they're all on to me kind of thing. In my opinion, that's not at all what's happening. I believe you're just manifesting a fear. Perhaps you have a fear of awakening, a fear of coming into your own potential, and this is just a way of scaring the crap out of yourself, manifesting those fears in physical reality. As I mentioned, you'll be able to do now. I'm not saying it doesn't seem very real, and the experience of it in a sense is real. However, you don't have to experience that. There aren't really demons clinging to people, but if you really believe that, you will experience that. But it's all about, what do you want to buy into? Do you really want to believe that? I believe that belief stems from a fear that you have yet to uncover. And you're manifesting it in this very obvious and noticeable way as a way to draw light to that. Because it's time to let that misaligned belief go. Here's the whole challenge of moving into fourth density. Fourth density involves very instant manifestation, very quick, accelerated manifestation. And if we were just to kind of leap into fourth density with all our karmic baggage, we would very quickly manifest all of it, all at once, and we'd probably die. We would probably freaking walk out, we manifest a death scenario like that. That's why we're going through this transition, so we can let all this stuff go, because otherwise all your fears will manifest in these real crazy ways that you just described. Towards the end of my shift, but right before I made this shift, you could say, I was manifesting all of my worst nightmares into reality in very crazy ways. I was convinced that my daughter was going to die and reincarnate and come back as another person, as a way for me and my family to move to California. Yeah, but to me, it made perfect sense. I believe I was going to manifest a house fire, and that was going to give us some kind of insurance money to help us move. And I was getting all these synchronicities. Weird lights were like blowing out in my house. I was experiencing it. There'd be people coming and working on my power lines in the back of my house, and they'd be like messing up and shaking. And I'm thinking, man, they're going to start. This is how this fire is going to really start. It's really happening. No. Even more similar to a situation, I had a situation where I had an experience where I went and saw like a psychic down in Florida. And at that time, I had the belief that the Illuminati had like phony psychic people out there aiming to like stifle the progress of light workers. And I believed I had experienced one. And this guy, when he looked into my eyes, I felt him like sucking out my energy. He had this weird, demonic look in his eye, you could say. Like he was literally like possessing me with his crazy ass energy and sucking me. I felt like my energy was getting sucked out. So I just got up and left. So it's not uncommon that we have these experiences, but it's not something you really have to deal with in the sense of, how do I stop it? You just have to deal with the fears. You don't have to have these crazy, fearful experiences. They're only reflections of your fears. Someone asked me, is this world an illusion? That's kind of like a philosophical question that you could attack from many different perspectives. In a sense, yes. In a sense, no. In a sense, everything's an illusion. Everything's a projection of your consciousness. In fact, what you see as your world is you. You are the world. You just are perceiving yourself from the perspective of little old me. But in actuality, empirically, you are everything. But you don't always have that experience. So is the world an illusion? Yes, but your experience of it is not. It's really that simple. It just depends how you want to look at it. What does that definition do for you? Okay, the world's an illusion. And yet you still are going to get all rustled up when something bad happens. So your experience of the world affecting you is very real. That's all, folks. I'm tired. I'm getting more questions every single week. We'll see how long I can keep up with answering most of the ones I get. If you have any yourself, go ahead and leave them in the description box. I wish you all very well. Namaste. Real quick, guys, I wanted to let you know I recently made an extra web page on my website that organizes all the different Q&A videos I've done, so you can kind of sift through the website and look at a list of questions and see which questions correspond to the different videos. If you happen to have one that comes up in your head, it might be an easier way to see if I've already answered it. So I just wanted to kind of make you guys aware of that. Peace.